Feared that people were trapped in the high-rise building as flames took hold of the 11th floor. Mike Lester has the details.
The Plaza, a 15-storey luxury apartment block, 333 Beaconsfield Parade, Middle Park. The first report, fire on the 11th floor, and the fear that residents living on that floor and above were in danger. The alarm was raised just after 8:30, and it was almost an hour before the blaze was controlled and everyone in the block accounted for. But there were anxious moments. Police were desperately trying to find a helicopter that could hover above the building in case anyone had run to the roof. 2 police officers were overcome by smoke as they evacuated tenants. 27 fire engines were called in, ambulances were placed on standby, and 75 men manned the hoses. The fire is thought to have started in a unit owned by the son of trucking millionaire Lindsay Fox. And tonight, more than 80 people moved out of the block have been evacuated to a nearby hotel.
Archibald, you have a dressing gown on. Is that all you've managed to save?
Well, I didn't bring anything else out this week.
Did they just move you so quickly?
Yeah, the firemen just came and said evacuate, so naturally we did.
Well, we went up there to check the floors above her flat, and they were all full of smoke then, and we attempted to get to that floor where the fire was, but you couldn't get in, it was just too thick.
A food company based on the Gold Coast, Sui Min, faces its second.
In Melbourne overnight, 80 residents of the block were evacuated and won't be allowed back into their homes until at least lunchtime today.
The alarm was raised just after 8:30 and the tenants of the 15-storey luxury apartment block, the Plaza, were immediately evacuated. It took almost an hour for 75 firemen to control the blaze and police to account for the tenants. The fire was in an apartment on the 11th floor, and people on that floor and above were in danger.
Well, we went up there to check the floors above her flat, and they were all full of smoke then, and we attempted to get to that floor where the fire was, but you couldn't get in, it was just too thick.
80 people were evacuated to nearby hotels and no one was injured. 2 police constables were, however, overcome by smoke while evacuating the residents. Several sections of the building have been declared unsafe. Tenants won't be allowed back into their homes until arson squad detectives and forensic police have finished their inspections. Kate Dunstan reporting.
The Algerian government.
The flats in Beaconsfield Parade Middle Park are reportedly owned by Lindsay Fox, and the blaze is believed to have started in his son's flat. Fire broke out on the 11th floor of the 15-storey building at around 8:30 last night. Firemen had trouble fighting the blaze as their ladders only just reached. All residents in the block of flats in Beaconsfield Parade were evacuated and moved down the road into a hotel. Police say no residents were injured, but a couple of policemen were overcome by smoke trying to evacuate the residents. A helicopter was on standby in case firemen had trouble getting everyone out of the building, but it wasn't needed. 30 fire units were used to fight the blaze, and 85 men worked to bring the fire under control in just over an hour. The Victoria Police's internal investigations
are now returning to their homes. Investigations into the cause of the fire are continuing.
It was just after 8:30 last night when a fire on the 11th floor of the Plaza apartment block in Middle Park was reported. Immediately, all 150 residents were evacuated to nearby hotels, and 75 firemen spent nearly an hour to bring the blaze under control. No one was injured, but 2 policemen were overcome by smoke during the evacuation. This morning, residents of the lower floors went home to inspect the damage from smoke and water. The flames spread through air conditioning ducts, and 2 floors were badly burnt. The apartment where the fire started, the home of Peter Fox, the son of trucking millionaire Lindsay Fox, was destroyed. The apartment was a 21st birthday present and completely redecorated and refurnished just 5 months ago. Arson squad detectives are investigating the blaze, but now say there are no suspicious circumstances. They think the fire may have started in the kitchen. Kate Dunstan, National 9 News.
You know, I suppose
the fire started in a unit owned by Peter Fox, son of St Kilda Football Club boss and trucking magnate Lindsay Fox. Mike Tancred reports 150 residents of the Bayside units had to be evacuated.
A blackened shell is all that remains of Peter Fox's Bayside apartment. Flames raced through the unit last night, causing about $300,000 damage. Peter wandered through the unit today, aware that he'd lost everything. Investigators from the fire brigade paid particular attention to the kitchen area, and a spokesman said later that the fire was caused by an electrical fault in the wiring between the wall oven and the dishwasher. The unit was a 21st birthday present for Peter Fox, and he just paid big money to have it completely redone. New furniture, new carpets, and a whole new paint job. The flames were noticed on the 11th floor of the luxury block in Beaconsfield Parade about 8:40 last night. Firemen raced through the 15-storey block, alerting residents. As 150 people ran down the fire escape, firemen used axes to break down doors, looking for anyone trapped.
There was a bit of confusion early in the piece. Of the first arrival crews evacuated above the floor, which was our normal procedure, ensured that everyone was out above the floor. There was some confusion with people below the fire floor, but they were in no danger. There was no smoke travel down there.
Today, some of the elderly residents were still visibly shaken, and many went to stay with friends. The unit suffered extensive smoke and water damage. The carpet squelched all the way down to the ground floor. A unit on the 14th floor also caught fire last night after flames made their way through the air conditioning ducts. The clean-up was expected to take several days.
People were evacuated from the building after the fire broke out in a flat owned by leading Melbourne businessman Lindsay Fox and occupied by his 22-year-old son Peter.
Fire chiefs say this blaze could have been a tragedy if it happened in the early hours of the morning. More than 150 people were evacuated from the 15-storey apartment block in Beaconsfield Parade when the alarm was raised just before 9 o'clock last night. The blaze started in the 11th floor unit owned by St Kilda Football Club chief Lindsay Fox, but leased by his son Peter. People on the floors above the fire were evacuated to the roof, and at one stage police considered using helicopters to airlift them to safety. The cause of the fire isn't known, and early today arson squad detectives and the fire brigade's investigation unit were sifting through the debris for clues. Later this morning at Richmond, busy Church Street was blocked to traffic after a fire broke out in the Bronx.
Kate Dunstan with more.
All 150 residents were evacuated from the Beaconsfield Parade apartment block, but only 2 apartments actually caught fire. This morning it was clear where the fire had started. The 11th floor apartment of Peter Fox, son of trucking millionaire Lindsay Fox, was gutted. A 21st birthday present, it had been redecorated and refurnished only 5 months